Hey, what's going on? My name is Dr. Ben Glass. I'm a chiropractor, and this is the Pre-Chiro podcast where we just aim to contextualize the path to become a chiropractor by providing insights from chiropractic students and chiropractors who are in practice. Today, we have Kyle Rodriguez. I really appreciate you getting on here because this is a very spontaneous conversation, but those are the best kinds. So why don't we just get started by you just sharing a little bit about what your background was before you discovered chiropractic and decided to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I love the message. I was like, all right, let's go. It's game time. My name's Kyle Rodriguez. Before chiropractic school, I was actually did some undergrad studies for organizational leadership, and I decided that I actually hated school. And so I was blessed and found a full-time job with some great mentors, and I was working in the retail world. I was working retail for about 6 years, and my now wife, she was wanting to be a PT, and then she shadowed a chiropractor and ended up falling in love with it. And so we moved to Kansas City, and long story short, my boss at the time was 28 years old and actually found out he had brain cancer. And I was one of the ones that took him to the hospital. And so for me, I was 23, 24 at the time, and was like, man, I want to be able to help people. Like, I want to go out and make a change in the world. And so I was blessed, and I think, as the saying goes, chiropractic found me in that time. So.
In what way? Can you describe or unpack a little bit more what that moment was that I know that you just said your partner was going to chiropractic school, so that seed was already planted that might be a potential path based on her experience. But what was it about that time when you were bringing that guy to the hospital that changed something within you that decided, that pushed you in this direction?
Yeah, I would say the biggest determining factor for me was that it was my day off, and I got called, and the only person that he would listen to was me. And I gave him an ultimatum. I said either he could get in the car, walk himself to the car. I was going to put him in a chokehold and walk him to the car because he was not okay. Because I asked him if he had taken any medicine or anything, and he was not able to describe and was having trouble talking. So my first thought was seizure. Just because my entire life I've been raised around the medical field. My mom was a nurse, an EMT, and so I've always been very interested in it. Whenever I was 16, I took EMT classes, and I've been around the nursing home, and so I've always just been around being able to help people. And so it was in that instance, honestly, when it was like a fight or flight for me. Like, either we're getting you to the care you need, and once we got there, and I was able to. I really do feel like it was an honor to be able to get a hold of his family and talk with them and let them know what was going on, and just be in that situation and provide some type of assistance, whatever it might have been, giving an air mattress, going to Chick-fil-A, whatever it was. I was able to help, and I could see that people were at ease and were relaxed whenever there was somebody taking care of them and helping make sure that they were the biggest priority, and that they could just be present in the moment. And so that was kind of the biggest inspiring for that very instant. But with my wife, like I said, she was in chiropractic school, and I'd actually been to 2 seminars. The first seminar I went to, I had just applied and got accepted to school. And I had the opportunity to hear some amazing doctors, Dr. Joe Borio. That one blew my mind away because A, I was laughing, and B, he just had a lot of knowledge. But I was in the right place at the right time, I feel, and the right influences were there, and it all started to click for me. I'm a very hands-on person, and so it all just started to make sense.
If you were talking to a prospective student, just reflecting on those influences, going to seminars before you got to chiropractic school, having the opportunity to serve others when they need you the most, and getting that experience of what it's like to give and receive and listen and provide empathy, but also provide whatever you can provide in that moment. Would you say that those are like critical learning experiences that a prospective student should consider strongly?
Yeah, I think that to be able to connect in with people on a deeper level than just the verbal is huge. I mean, what is it, 80% of our communication is nonverbal. And so to be able to pick up on something like that and just being able to, like you said, empathize with people, I think is a really big necessity. I know that a lot of people come straight from undergrad and go into chiropractic school, and maybe they haven't had the opportunity to engage in those I want to say emotional intelligent type situations to where they can really learn to navigate it. But I think just having like a predisposition, if you love animals or if you just love being around people or you love making people smile, I think those are all really big indicators, because it's really funny. Honestly, I kind of have some introvert aspects of myself, and I have a tendency to be like pretty straightforward about things. And sometimes those at can be seen as not being super loving, but in all reality, that's what people need, is like strict. And so as long as you have the intention, I think, behind your connection, I don't think you can be wrong. And so I think that it is a great prerequisite going into it, because I was lucky, and I was, like I said, I was doing seminars and was attending multiple different camps and things like that before I even got into chiropractic school. So before I even got into the thick of it, I had done one full year of seminar circuits, and it really did help solidify for me. So that way, whenever I was in the thick of try 1, 2, and 3, I wasn't like grasping to see if I knew that I was supposed to be there while also trying to take on the weight of school. So
There you go. Yeah. So it sounds like you got some additional clarity. When you entered school, you already had more experience than the fellow students. So you knew what you wanted to focus on. You had developed some of those beginner sort of mindsets of like, okay, I know that I'm not good at this, so let me get better at this. Can you really get specific as to what that first, second, and third trimester, what that transition was like getting into chiropractic school and having had all that experience before school to bring with you, how that helped you?
yeah. I'm super fortunate to have had been exposed, and kind of just the language, and there's a whole culture inside of chiropractic that a lot of people don't understand and don't see, especially as you're coming into it. And so to kind of just be immersed in that early on, before I had the weight of 30 plus credit hours weighing down on me. I was finishing up my undergrad and had maybe 12 to 24 credits per trimester. So it was still pretty chill, pretty relaxed. And so I didn't feel bombarded. And I think what happens to majority of people, if they haven't been exposed to chiropractic, is they come in to try 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in 5 right now, and still sometimes I'm like, man, this is a lot of tests. But it allowed me to not feel overwhelmed, and knew that my fire was started in the right spot. And so I was lucky to come in and have upper tries that I knew I could lean on, and I could ask for help from. And then that also allowed me to bring along fellow classmates as well. I got my group of about 4 of us that we really drive each other to be the best we can. And so I think that really helped me, being able to have an understanding of what the workload was going to be, and know that it wasn't going to be a cakewalk, and knew that when it came time, like, whether you want to do the classes or not, there's a reason that you're doing them. And I know a lot of people say jump through the hoops, and there's different terminology, but all in all, I think that chiropractic school really is going to show you what it's like to go out into the workforce and not have everything given to you. You're going to have to grind. You're going to have to put in some time, and there's going to be some uncomfortable moments and some moments you really just don't want to be there. And I think it's crucial to find you a group of people that can help you set a foundation and know what you're going to be doing. And I was blessed to have that opportunity. I was involved with KTC, Kairos Training Culture, before I even got into school. I had been to Focus OKC, The Truth in Chiropractic. I'd been to all of these things. And so it had been repeated to me. And I think the unfortunate part is so many people get weighed down by school, and they don't get to these seminars, and they don't get to find their crew. They don't get to find their tribe until they're later on. And then It's not that it's too late, but there's a lot of work to be made up.
Yeah, what you're describing, the experience that you had of having a full year to prepare yourself for chiropractic school and explore what's available, explore the different sort of influences within chiropractic student culture so that you were familiar when you arrived. That's what my vision and goal is for every prospective student to hear the message that, hey, right now is not too soon for you to start living like a chiropractic student. The sooner you start living like it, it extends your runway, so to speak, before chiropractic practice. It gives you a chance to have that sort of peace and quiet. So like you just described, when you get to chiropractic school, it's crazy. There's so many tests, classes, there's different things that you get involved with or get pulled toward when you're trying to build relationships with your fellow classmates. And it distracts you from what's important, which is developing those beginner skill sets that you can build upon throughout the program. So can you talk a little bit about today, trimester 5? What are some of the challenges you're experiencing? What are some of the opportunities that you're taking advantage of given the current climate with chiropractic schools?
Yeah, I mean, right now, one of the really unfortunate parts is, once again, it comes back to the testing. Once I come back from Thanksgiving Day, I have literally a swamp schedule, and in 12 days, I have 20 tests, and it's back to back to back, all different categories all over the place. And so it's been like that for about the last 6 weeks. I've had a minimum of 2 tests. And so it's just because of the way that the calendars have lined up, you know, in our classes, and there's no flexibility. Like, you meet one instructor one time every other week. So like, you're taking a test, and that's really what it's for. And so that has been a challenge in itself. I mean, right now I'm, you know, transitioning into more of the diagnosis classes, and it's really exciting to be in those, but it's really unfortunate that I don't get as much hands-on time as I would like. But with that being said, I have gone out and looked and created opportunities to be able to bring in my fellow students outside of the 4 that I have been with since Try One. It's bringing in, expanding out to my classmates, you know, hey, what do you guys have going on? How are you evaluating? What are you taking from these classes? And so it's really allowed me to continue to be super busy and involved and engaged, because here on campus, you know, I'm a campus ambassador, and I do all these things for prospective students coming in, but sometimes it gets lost in the students that are in the thick of it with me, which I feel like I have resources to give to those people. And so, you know, I've been able to find opportunities and ways to share information, share seminars, share notes, whatever it might be, get on Zoom calls. I mean, we were doing Zoom training for Kairos like week 2 of lockdown. And so just really adapting and vibing and seeing where I can bring value. We are currently in the works here at Cleveland, getting fraternity started back up. And so it's actually allowed me more time to zoom in and see where my downtime is being spent. And I honestly think that this whole COVID pandemic has been a blessing for me and my fellows around me that have allowed to tap in.
That's dope. It sounds like you're really adapting well. Not to harp on this too much, but can you speak to some of the students around you that are really struggling, just so that we could build context for maybe what not to do? Some of the students around you, you might look at and just say, hey, they're probably going to be really challenged by the student clinic, or challenged when they get out of school and get into practice. They will be able to pass their classes. But can you talk a little bit about that supplemental training you do, the importance of it, and when students don't do that, the ways that you see them struggling today?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to be real careful with my my words here, but with being Try 5, you know, I'm looking to go into a student clinic 2 trimesters from now and actually get my hands on the student body. And the fact that I was able to just learn static palpation and get those tactile skills early on in Try 1 and 2, when we're going through just static or motion palpation, I'm actually feeling things above and beyond because of the supplemental information that I was able to get from seminars. And so, you know, I was in spring break of Try 3 whenever all of this started, and that's the first adjusting try that we have here at Cleveland. And so a lot of people really got robbed of their trimester 4 and trimester 5. You know, they're only getting hands-on with one other person, their lab partner, and that's the only person that they're learning to adjust, which is great because they are getting skills and they can hone those in, but it's for one person, and not every person that's going to lay on the table is the same. And unforeseen circumstances, you know, I've been saying since since I was an undergrad that people need to get to these seminars because you never know. You can never have your hands on too many people, and you can never get exposed too early. I think a lot of people get in and they're like, oh, this is going to be way over my head. How am I going to take, an upper cervical where they're talking about x-rays? I don't know anything about x-ray. And it's like, now's the time to learn. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the people that are in my class, and class directly above me or below me, they're having issues with their skills that they didn't get the opportunity to take advantage of. And they're really seeing that, there is no time that's too early to start getting hands-on. The business, and like you said, passing the classes is great. But a lot of the time it just creates an average adjuster, an average chiropractor. And if you want to be a professional chiropractor, you need to do what any other professional athlete, gamer, artist, whatever it is they do. And you need to put time into your craft. You need to put the work in. And a lot of them are going to go into student clinic and have only adjusted 3, 4, 6 people max. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to be super disheartening, getting in and doing new patient exams on try one students that have never had adjustments, or when they get into outpatient and they get that first person that's never had chiropractic care and they're 40 years old, like they don't have those skills, and there's still time to learn them, but they just didn't take advantage, in my opinion. And so, like you said, there's a lot of skills that are going to be missed, and they can do great on part 1, which I have coming up in January. Like they're going to crush part 1, mm-hmm. but they're not comfortable in adjusting. They have clinicians coming over in student clinic. I'm in intro to clinic. They have their clinicians coming over and helping them finish up adjustments, which is great to learn, but you got to step into the water at some point.
Well said. So describe to me, given that you're only try 5, but that you've had this extended experience, can you talk a little bit about where your mindset is at moving forward? Are you starting to prepare for life after school already, even though you're only really about halfway through? And what are you planning to do as you transition, not only in the student clinic, but also out into practice?
Yeah, I have some business mindset already and coming in. And so I've really been kind of thinking, what could I be doing as far as name and office and location. And life has put a lot of changes on those. I found out I'm going to be a dad. My wife's here practicing and she loves her office that she's at. And so we've had some things transition, but I was, once again, because being super involved, I was super lucky to get involved with Dr. Ian Davis Tremaine, who does Success Principles, Dr. Brett Jones, Dr. Tim Young. And I've got these amazing, super successful chiropractors that are saying, it's never too early to start. The earlier you start, the better. You should have started yesterday. And so I do have an idea of a business plan of if I was to open my own office by myself, what that would look like, how much would it cost, where would those finances come from, bare minimum versus what I would like to see 10 years into practice. And I've created that for myself. I've created that for a vision with myself and my wife. And right now, the best way to do it is I know that I'm going to be going to student clinic, and that really is your first practice. That's your first office. How do you get those numbers? Can you go out and what I learned in retail, how can you go out and run for mayor? How can you get people to know who your name is, what you're doing, and what you're about? And so that's my biggest goal, is to go into student clinic and be ready to be booked out. COVID or not, I'm ready to be booked out and start serving my fellow students. And then when it comes to outpatient clinic, once again, I'm already thinking what can I do to go out and get involved with people? There's chiropractors all around here in Kansas City, that have, whether they have screening events or not, they have connections with business owners, yoga instructors, those type of people that I would love to serve. They have those connections. So can I tap into those in a respectful way and start to pull in an outpatient clientele? Because everybody's here. Oh, I'm not from Kansas City. I don't know anybody. And it's like, once again, it's like with adjusting, you're not going to get to know anybody unless you go out to get to know somebody. And so, I just utilize a lot of the vision casting, and really the layout that I've been presented with from other amazing docs. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel by any means. I do want to put my own brand on it, but I don't want to reinvent the wheel. And so I'm going out and finding those people that are successful, that are raw, authentic, real, willing to show numbers, what they did, see their plans. And that's what I think is going to help set me to the next level.
Yeah, no, that's a dope message. I like that. All right, so we're going to do a little rapid fire here. This is definitely an organic little discussion we're having. So the way that I'm contextualizing pre-Chiro program training is the state model. So take innate and split it into two words. You're building your inner state, and state is an acronym. So we're going to run down what that acronym means, and I'd like you to just describe a little bit about how you have developed yourself in that kind of a way. As a chiropractic student or along this path. So the S is scientist. How have you worked on becoming a chiropractic scientist?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because we are science, philosophy, and art. And so science for me is going into, a diagnosis class and understanding that, I might not treat any of this, but I still need to understand it so that way I know what I know and I can send them to the right person, that patient to the right person. And so every diagnosis, every physiology, every pathology class I go into with the mindset that even if I might not utilize this, I need to have it for my patients. And so it does allow me to dive in and take tons of notes and kind of nerd out on some of it. But yeah, I'd say that'd be the scientist part.
So the next letter is the T, the thinker. How are you becoming a chiropractic thinker?
I think it ties in with the scientist part. It's, can you take these things that you learned that are, the norm and the not so normal, the whatever it is, and can you tap that into what you're learning in your art in adjusting? Like, can you link those two together and can you increase the performance? And so I always am thinking, this is what's being presented, what could be underlying from it. And I think that's what really chiropractic is about, is finding that piece that's underneath. Can you think your way into allowing them the next step, the next opportunity?
Absolutely. You segued perfectly. Artist. How are you becoming a chiropractic artist?
Hands on every person, whether, I realize that the adjusting is limited by the clubs you're in and whatever else, but getting your hands on and exploring, being okay with failing at certain adjustments, being okay with getting in there. And this is when it should be practice, not when you're out and it's game day. You shouldn't be practicing. So seminars. I think, like I said, I'm try 5, and last I checked, I've been to 48 seminars. And so if you're not going to seminars, you're not getting hands-on, you're not elevating your art. I don't care what it is. There's Gonstead, there's Upper Cervical, there's Diversify, there's all of them out there. Go out, get to a seminar and get your hands on.
Mm-hmm. And you've been doing an excellent job at communicating your experience, but how have you become a chiropractic teacher?
Yeah, this one's been an interesting one because I'm still learning, I'm still growing and still getting this. But if you live by the model, you see it, you do it, and you teach it, that's really what it comes down to. And so I'm hosting different groups and different, I want to get people together because I might not have it all figured out. I know I don't have it all figured out, but I want people to have conversation and discuss, because that's what it's going to take. If you can't discuss chiropractic to your version of chiropractic to your classmates, you're never going to be able to describe it to the public. And so it's the same thing. Seminars for hands, but also talking. I love to talk. So.
And then finally, how are you becoming a chiropractic entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's just jumping at any opportunity that's presented to you when it's presented to you is the first part, because if your name's not out there, if people don't know who you are, if people don't know what you're about, it's going to be hard to become an entrepreneur while you're opening the business, while you're moving, while you're looking for a house. And so people need to realize that and then take advantage of it. And so every day's work can be fun. And I think that that's the best part about being an entrepreneur now, is thinking of all of the cogs and wheels. And if you don't have the answers, go and find somebody that does. Because if you go in and you try to open up a fine-tuned machine, but you don't have the pieces and you don't know where to get the pieces, it's going to be a hard time to get that machine running. And so I think a good entrepreneur has good resources and knows how to use them. It's not about not having resources, it's about being resourceful. So
Absolutely, 110%. Pre-Chiro is really about just helping students, guiding students through the resources that are available so that they can build that resourcefulness and know, oh, I remember before I went to school, I heard about that. Let me go back and see what I learned about it because I'm hearing about it again, and how can I connect these dots?
Mm.
What would you say to a high school student, a middle school student who's thinking they want to become a doctor one day, or they want to get into healthcare? I know chiropractic's not really even about just healthcare, it's about life expression, but can you just talk to that younger person, or maybe they're transitioning careers? They don't have to be super young, but why chiropractic? Why should this profession really be a strong consideration if they want to help people and they want to be their own boss and blah blah blah?
Yeah, exactly. That's I would first dive into the appeal that you get to be your own boss. You get to create your own hours. That's really one of the exciting parts, especially for anybody that's younger. I know in high school I was like, I want to be able to get paid good money and not have to work all the time, have vacations, and I think that going into the health field, whatever it is, whatever realm you go into, there's the opportunity to have that. But you have to understand that that's not something you're not going to go out into practice your first year. And whether it be medical, physical therapy, whatever it is, you're not going to go out your first year, make $200,000 and have 12 vacations in a brand new car. You are going to have to grind, and you are going to have to put in some work. You are working to get those letters put at the beginning of your name for doctor, or those letters at the end of the name. And so for me, as coming in as a profession change, it was something that, like, I realized I had to start at the bottom of the totem pole, but I can see the long-term goal at the end is being there's so much opportunity. And so I know, going from, if I was talking to middle schoolers, I would tell them, I know if you're in sports, you want to go and you want to go to these practices, but during the summer, you're tired and you want to take off time. But just realize, if you were to even do a little bit of extra workouts during the summer, where would that put you? For high school students, it's great to go to get scholarships for school for sports, but what happens whenever something happens in sports and you don't get that scholarship? Can you go based off of the grind that you put in for your education, for your intelligence part of it? And if you're going to the career change, obviously there's something that's not being fulfilled in the career that you're in. And so chiropractic for me, and I always bring it back to chiropractic for me allowed to bridge a gap of a need that I was looking for. And I really think if you understand what chiropractic is, what it has to offer, and what it can mean for people, there's really just no holds bar on where you can go with chiropractic. And so the gamet's huge, and you can make it as small or as big as you want.
Kyle, I really want to thank you for taking the time, brother. I know this was very last second. Literally, we're just meeting right now, but this is just spontaneous, and this is where the best sort of innate thoughts or chiropractic thoughts come through. Thank you for sharing with the students. There was a lot of gems there. There was a lot of gold. And we're really just trying to build context. My thought is, if people knew that, if people heard that message that you just shared, they would be juiced. They would be like, what? I didn't know chiropractic could be this way. I didn't know that I could become the creator of my own reality and really just shape my future today, right now. So anyway, I just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you, and good luck with school. If you need any help or support, just let me know. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. And anybody that
No doubt.
watches, if y'all need some resources, anything, let me know. I got connections, Cleveland, Marietta, Hayward, everywhere, Parker. Let me know, and I would love to help anybody with any questions they have. Thank you so much for having me on.
No doubt.